An African National Congress NEC member Ronald Lamola was conferred with the second master's degree at the University of Pretoria. Lamola was awarded a Master's of Law, Extractive Industry Law in Africa by the University of Pretoria. The African National Congress appraised Ronald Lamola on attaining his second master's degree. He currently holds a master's degree in corporate law, where he explored the regulation of property syndication schemes. His research looked at the roles of the regulators in the regulation of taking of deposits from the public and the conflation of the Companies Act and the Banks Act and the Reserve Bank Act. Indeed, congratulations are in order. Ronald Lamola, ANC NEC member, joins us now on the phone line. Congratulations to you and thank you so much for joining us. Maybe you can just make sense of, with all this wisdom and knowledge, how then do we apply it to change the lives of our people, Ronald?
Thank you very much, and thank you to all your viewers at home. And for me, this goes to all the fees must fall movement and all rural youth and the youth of this country, the poor in particular, that it is possible, irrespective of the background where you come from, to attain an undergraduate degree. For me, in terms of the application, what has become very important is in particular to enhance your knowledge and to know what is happening, because my interest to study this, it was on the basis that one of our clients, the community in Begersford, the Pompo, had a challenge with one of the mines, and I needed to enhance my understanding of how the social labor plans work and how does mining operations work. So I then had to also look into doing this master's degree in line with the MPRDA. But in particular, my biggest interest was to explore why is it so difficult for communities to ensure that the mines comply with the social labor plans. And the discussion and the exploration of the dissertation has opened my eyes on various issues in that regard.
All right, share with us then, not only from an academic point of view, but how then that applied knowledge will assist in reform or ensuring that we at least are able to pierce these kind of challenges going forward with the understanding that it needs to improve the lives of especially mining communities.
In my view, it will, because, as I said, I already work with the mining communities, and there are matters that I've handled on their behalf. We have already engaged with some, for example, the DMR region in the Pompo, on some of the matters that we had. And we're already applying the knowledge because we're able to access some of the social labor plans and try to enforce them. But we will also engage with other role players like NGOs in the sector to find a way to campaign to ensure that some of these legislation are amended to enable the direct issue of enforcement through mechanism with the minister and the department to strengthen that part in particular, because most of the mines do not comply with the social labor plans. One, the department finds it difficult to ensure that it monitors this, because some of these documents are huge, are voluminous. One social labor plan you might find is more than 400 pages, and there are only 3 mine employees employed to deal with that. So that is the first resource issue, and it has been like that even under apartheid. It's a legacy issue which needs to be addressed, and we also need to address the impact in particular to communities, because when communities are faced with these challenges, particularly with the mines, they don't know where to go to. You will go to DMR and they will try to mediate, but they will also not have like a strong hand to ensure that these mines comply with the social labor plan. So those are some of the things that legislation needs to be strengthened to strengthen the hands of the communities and the regulators.
All right, I see also part of your research look at the roles of regulators in the regulation of taking deposits and the conflation or the merging of the Companies Act, the Banks Act and the Reserve Bank Act. So in how we deal with the perpetual consumerism, especially at the bottom of the value chain, is the fact that the majority working class are dependent on other entrepreneurs or industry players for their sustainability, be it food supply, etc., that we don't have our own industries. Is this part of your research that then will help in you or you know, for us understanding why there is still this exclusion from the mainstream economy?
Yeah, I think that was the first master's that I did in that regard, because one of the key findings on that one is the issue of raising of capital for companies, how companies raise capital and how they ensure that that capital is used for the benefit of the company itself. You will know that the purpose of the Companies Act is it speaks about making of profit. But majority of the black population is not aware in terms of how to raise capital, and if they do, you find that they fell prey to the property syndication schemes, like the pyramid schemes and so forth. So those are the issues that we're exploring to look as to how does the Reserve Bank and the FSB, those regulators, ensure that consumers are protected. And of recently, there has been a new legislation, the Twin Peaks regulation, which then deals with the various aspects of regulation, the behavior in the banks and also in the insurance industry. So that is a different topic altogether. But what was of interest to me at the time was particularly the fact that most of the property syndication schemes, like at the time, I think I looked at Shemex, which had collapsed, and to what were the systems which needed to be strengthened.
And Ronald, I suppose as an NEC member, you know, you also have your own responsibilities from the party, let alone structures, and being a formidable youth league leader yourself, that going into 2019, there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and you've now become a beacon of hope or symbol for young people that it can be done, as you are saying, and not to discount or disregard small beginnings. But going forward, if we're going to sit with a group of graduates who are unemployed, or that, you know, the sluggish economy, what does it all mean? What are we saying to young people that want to pursue further education?
Yes, indeed. I am inspired by the fact that the government is beginning to put in place like the YES program and other programs that is aimed to ensure that we attract foreign direct investment so that we're able to create jobs in the various sectors of our economy, and also to enable particularly the graduates to have some kind of a first experience on the job. Because the biggest challenge or the biggest problem for graduates is to have that first experience. But one of the things which has been discussed thoroughly in the last conference was to deal away with this requirement of experience on some of the entry-level jobs. Because where will an a person who has just came from university get experience if he's not given experience on the job? So those are the things that we are beginning to engage on, and we believe that with good strategic interventions with all various players in society and various sectors, we will be able to make a strategic intervention to deal with particularly the issue of job creation. But at the center of the issue of job creation is entrepreneurship, because it's proven that across the world, even in medium-sized or middle economies or developing countries like ourselves, the only intervention that will help us to be able to deal with the issue of youth unemployment in particular is to inculcate the culture of entrepreneurship, and that will have to start from a basic education level.